Hello. I don't know if you guys can see me, hear me. I hope Facebook doesn't shut down 30 times like it's been doing lately. But answering a few questions if I can get some. There's some people seeing me. All right. So I'm here today in my house in Los Angeles. We're actually not going to be here for much longer. We're going to move. Right, Jen?
Yes, we are. We're moving.
It's pretty exciting.
It's very exciting.
My cat is also moving, right, Emily? What are you doing? She's very talkative. Hi, guys. Hi, Ian. Hi, Donner. Hi, Michael. Hi, Samuel. Hi, Shannon. Hi, Michael. Hi, Daniela. Hello, Jonathan. Oh, Jonathan tells me to shave. No! Shout out, Michael.
It's very aggressive now.
Possibilities for Guardians 3. Oh, my God. Well, I've said lots about that if you guys just search Google. Hi, Darpin. Hi, Josh. Hi, Brett. Hi, Jason. Matt, quit putting down my cat for being fat. She's off the streets. She's not very good at taking care of herself. Whoops, flipping around. Taylor says, what can I do to become a director? Well, I think you just make a lot of short films. I started making movies when I was very young. And you learn the craft. You see if you like doing it, like anything. Like any sort of difficult profession, whether it's being engineer or a doctor or anything, it takes a lot of years in training to learn how to do what you're doing, and a lot of education. So if you want to be a director, you have to work and expect to give it a good 10, 15 hard years of work before you're able to actually make any sort of living at it. Hello, Scotty in Alaska. Least favorite movie is probably Hail Mary by Jean-Luc Godard. I wanted to slash my wrist during that film. Hello, Diane. Hello, Belle. No updates on when the trailer's coming. I think there's some pretty good guesses out there. I'll say that much. What do I enjoy more, writing or directing? I like editing the best. Really making a film is four different stages to me. It begins with the writing. When you're a writer-director, this is the case. It begins with the writing. You write the screenplay. It takes a good long time to really get that right and make sure it's working well. Then comes pre-production, which is a lot of the imagining, the planning, the setting down the rails so the train can run smoothly upon it. Then comes the actual shooting of the film, which is what many people think of as directing, but to me is really only a very small part of it. And then comes the post-production, the editing, the visual effects. And I would say there's a fifth part too, which is the selling of the film, the marketing of the film, the going out on the road and doing the interviews and the press, and creating the trailers and all that stuff. Of all those sections, probably the one I like the least is actually shooting. It's grinding, tiring work, and I'm simply trying to make what I already have in my head become a reality on screen, and it means I'm pushing a lot of people very hard. So that is probably my least favorite. But I really like I like most of the other aspects of filmmaking. Editing is fun if the movie goes well, and if it doesn't go that well, then it's a little bit more difficult because you're trying to fix something that's broken as opposed to just really make something better that's already really good. And I feel like this process, especially on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, has been a very fluid process where we've put a lot of work into it, but a lot of the work is done really early on. And I would say that the biggest problem you have today with movies is that people are putting films into theaters off. They decide when a movie is going to come out in a theater, and then they start work on that project. Well, the way it used to be is people used to write a screenplay. When the screenplay was good enough, the movie would get greenlit, and then they would make that movie. So the screenplays were better. Today, they decide when a movie is going to come out based on whatever that IP is, that product. And then they have to write to meet that date. And if the script isn't good enough in the 6 months you have to write that screenplay, then they still have to make the movie no matter what, because they've already committed to a date. And I think it's really destroyed a lot of the quality of filmmaking, and that's why so many movies are so bad. Lola's going crazy.
Oh, sorry. It's got to be like a squirrel taunting her. She gets taunted.
Oh, the dog's going crazy outside. You can see the catio. I'll close that. So, yeah. Okay. People are asking me about sending me stuff. In general, I can't really watch things, guys. I get thousands of requests to watch things, to read things, and I just don't have the time to do that. What's a tip to get your actors to do what you need? I think really you just need to understand every actor is a different person, and they need a different combination to unlock their potential. And so it takes a lot of work to discover what an actor needs. I think it's another reason why I like working with the same actors again and again, because I understand the actors that I work with. I understand the actors in Guardians much better in Volume 2 than I did in Volume 1, because it took me half the movie sometimes to understand how those actors worked. All right, I notice you. I don't know how you pronounce your name. How long will Guardians 2 Volume 2 run? No clue. I have some clue around how long it'll run. But the truth is that when a movie's being edited, its time fluctuates. So how long it is it's an unknown factor, because we're not done editing yet. I'm editing with my editors, Craig Wood and Fred Raskin, right now. Will there be an after credit scene? Yes. Is it difficult having more than one green character on a movie? Is that why Drax is gray instead of green like he's in the Guardians comics? Difficult? No, I just didn't want to have a bunch of green characters. I wanted the people to be different colors. I think that it's also very important that the characters in the movie, the initial Guardians, the initial 5, were very singular. And Drax is different and from a different place than Gamora is. So he's gray, she's green. Blue people are a little more common because most of them are blue. Would I ever come to the UK for filming locations? I shot Guardians 1 in London, England. If Chris Pratt came back, would you direct Lego Movie 3? No. What is the name of the alien monster in the promo art? That's an obelisk, multidimensional being, and the Guardians have been hired to fight him. Any word on the film score? Yeah, sure. The film score is being done by Tyler Bates. He's done the score for all my films. We do something very unique, which is we film, we record huge sections of the score beforehand, and then we actually shoot the movie to that score. If there's no dialogue, we just blast it out, and if not, and if there is dialogue, we have little earbuds so that I can hear the score, the actors can hear the score, the camera people can hear the score. It's something that we learned. Went last night to the ArcLight Century City movie theater, and I saw Once Upon a Time in the West by Sergio Leone, which is one of my favorite all-time films. And he was a guy who, with his composer, Ennio Morricone, in my opinion, the greatest film composer of all time, they would write the score ahead of time, and actually a lot of those gun battles you see within that film they actually are walking to the music on set. You're asking me a lot of questions I don't know about. I haven't seen Guardians. I haven't seen Suicide Squad. I am having lunch today with the producer, Richard Suckle, who's a really a close friend of mine. I haven't seen him for a long time, but I have not seen the movie yet. Lots of Cosmo questions. You know, I can't really answer. I think we've given out the people that are in Guardians 2 that we're going to give out so far, which is we know Baby Groot is in the movie, that he's not an adult. We know that the movie takes place 2 months after the first movie ends. We know that Ego is the father of Peter Quill, that he's an ancient being. He's played by Kurt Russell. We know, what else do we know? We know that Mantis is in the movie. We know that Yondu and Nebula have more important roles in the film. We know that Sylvester Stallone is playing someone in the film. We don't know who. And those are kind of the things that we know that are out there right now. And then as time goes on, we'll let you know a little bit more if you want to pay attention. And if you don't read my feed, please, and don't watch the trailers, etc., because we don't want you to know too much if you don't want to know that. It's up to you. But if you're on the internet, you're good chance you'll hear a lot of stuff because this stuff seems to get picked up pretty easily. Can you please give us a theatrical version of Drax's battle axe? I don't know. That's not really something I've ever, in my probably tens of thousands of questions I've received on Guardians of the Galaxy, that's never been something I've ever been asked before. So I wouldn't say it would be something I'd be rushing to do. Drax from the MCU is different. He has a different origin story than Drax in the 616, as do all of the characters. When I started working with Marvel, I've been a lifelong reader of comic books. I love the 616 universe, and I loved the Ultimates universe, and I really looked at becoming a part of the MCU is like creating an alternate universe. A lot of the same archetypes and characters that are in the comics, but they have different origins, different backgrounds, slightly different places, in the same way that the Ultimate Universe was to the 616 universe originally. Would you want to have a Venom, Kitty Pryde, Warlock in the future? As people around here know, I'm not sure, how much longer I'm going to stick around, so who knows what I want in the future. I'm figuring out now what I'm going to do next after Guardians 2. And I think I know a couple things that are pretty fun, but figuring out exactly what I'm specifically going to do with movies. How do I feel about them rebooting It by Stephen King? Well, our buddy Wyatt is in the movie, who played young Peter Quill in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, so I'm very excited about it because I can't wait to see him in a bigger role. He's a talented young actor. He's a great kid, and there's also that kid from Stranger Things who's very good as well. What's my favorite scene in Guardians of the Galaxy? It's when Drax pets Rocket. What is one of my favorite comic writers? Well, my favorite comic writer is probably Alan Moore, but there's so many people I love. Of course, Stan Lee and Mark Millar and Brian Michael Bendis. There's so many. Grant Morrison. My writing process. Well, I start by figuring out the bones of the structure. I think it's very much like building a body. First, you put down the base. You discover the basic DNA of the project. What is the theme? What's the basic essence of the story you're trying to tell? And you focus everything around that DNA. And around that, you build the bones, which is the structure of the film, the story, the point, the beats of what's occurring. But you have to do that in a dynamic way, not in a way that's too mathematical. It has to be fun, and then you start to build the story around that even more so, which at that stage for me is still in the prose stage. My first screenplay is generally like a 50, 60, 70 page treatment, which tells the whole story. It has dialogue, it has everything in there. but I don't have to get into the nitty-gritty of actually writing the script just yet. And then I write the screenplay, and by that time the story's pretty well told. Here's Jen. What's up, Jen?
Hi, guys.
Jen has a TV show starting in March.
Yes.
Tell us about this show?
My TV show is called $1 Million Quartet. It's going to be airing in March on.
Is that still what the title is?
Right now, that's what the title is. I think that's a working title. They
They're not
name,
there. They're going to change it.
But it'll be the same show no matter what the name is. It's about Sam Phillips and the music industry in Memphis in the 1950s.
What character do you play, Jen Helen?
I play Sam Phillips' wife, Becky Phillips. She's a fantastic person in history, and she was Sam's strength.
And so, what's it feel like playing a hit person who takes out people for the CIA?
It feels like being God a little bit.
Is that what your character does at all? I
Yes,
tricked you. I tricked you. You don't even know about your own character. You can't
No,
remember
I
what
do
you're
know
doing
about my own
because you're
character.
drunk
She's,
on set the entire time.
She has a dual life. That's what she did that also.
It's like The Americans.
Yeah.
That'd be
So
pretty
it's
cool if Becky Phillips was murdering people. Anyway, everybody watch that on CMT. What series has you excited?
Thank you for that was a nice plug for me.
They're asking us what series we would like right now. We like Stranger Things. We watch my friend's Bachelor in Paradise, of course. Any Bachelor in Paradise questions would be accepted. We love The Night Of. That movie's fantastic.
It's not a movie, but
It's a TV show.
Yeah.
It's good, and that's really great. I didn't watch the Olympics, so I guess every time I turned on the Olympics, it was soccer, which I hate. And I realized that I wasn't on the Olympics station. I was on some special soccer station. So I didn't really watch any Olympics because every time I tuned in, I'm like, oh, it's soccer again. How is soccer on just every time I turn on the TV? Every night, all they're showing is soccer. Why is it only soccer on TV? And it was because I was on the soccer station, just happened to be there, but I thought it was just whatever station has the Olympics. Can I tell us about the Belko experiment? Sure can. The Belko experiment is a movie that I made down in Bogota, and it's going to premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival on September 10th, Saturday night. It's going to be great. I wrote the movie and I produced the movie, and I produced it with my friend Peter Safran, who produced Conjuring 2, Annabelle. He's a great guy. He's been my manager also for over about almost 20 years, and it was a movie that I wrote a long time ago, and I always wanted to make. I thought I was going to make it at the time I got divorced about almost 10 years ago. And I found that it was just such a dark movie that I backed out of making it. I was going to make it with Paul Brooks at Gold Circle. So anyway, MGM called me up a year and a half ago and said, I still have that script of the Belko experiment. I love it. John Glickman, who's in MGM, has kept the script, and he said, I would love to make it. And if you can do it for a reasonable budget, we'll do that. So we did it. And it stars John Gallagher Jr., who you might recognize from Newsroom and what's Cloverfield, the second one. Tony Goldwyn, who's on Scandal. Adria Ronha, who's was on True Crime. Is that the name of that show? The second season of, is that with the one that with Colin Farrell? True Detective. True Crime. I also so anyway, it's Michael Rooker is in the movie. And my brother Sean Gunn is in the movie. It's just a huge group of people who are in an office building and are basically forced into doing morally repugnant things if they want to save their own lives, and kind of pushing people how far they can be pushed. And I think it came out really great. And there will be a release for the film. I know all the information. I can't tell you guys all that information just yet, but they'll be just, a regular release. People keep saying, when's it going to be released on, DVD or VOD or whatever? Well, you're going to be able to see it in the theater, and it's not going to be that far away, actually. Why is Groot still a baby in Volume 2? How much time has gone by? Well, I started out this thing saying 2 months have gone by between Volume 1 and Volume 2. And obviously, Baby Groot is much different than Groot in the comics. He's not just grown Groot. He's, different. What is my process for picking the music for Guardians of the Galaxy? Well, I have a huge file of music which I go through. And some songs I have in mind are songs I want to use. That's sort of my starred list of songs that I'd like to use in the movie. Some of those I don't get to use because the opportunity doesn't really arise. When I'm writing the screenplay, sometimes I'll have a scene where I know what song I want to use, and then I'll use that. Other times I'll be writing a scene, I'm like, oh, this would be good for a song, and I figure out what song would be good there, either just off my mind or by going off my giant collection of songs. And other times, I hear a song and a scene comes up in my head and I write a scene around it, so it changes every time. Please do a DC movie, okay? Yeah, Saba, only 2 months between Guardians 1 and Guardians 2. Who is Star-Lord's father? Ego, the living planet. Played by Kurt Russell. When do you move? We move in a couple months. Sliced Alone is yes, he's in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Don't expect Baby Groot to be doing too much changing in the second movie, no. Do I have a method of writing? Do I prefer to use storyboards or do I change it up? Well, I don't think of storyboarding and writing as exactly the same thing, but sometimes I actually do. I have a huge battle scene in Guardians 2, which actually started as storyboards before it was a screenplay. I drew it all out first because I saw it visually in my head. So I do that sometimes. But I storyboard every single shot in the movie. I draw every single shot in the movie. And sometimes it just stays in these rough storyboard form that I have that, if you guys look online, James Gunn Storyboards, you'll see my terrible drawings that no one can understand but me. But, I'm actually a little bit of a better drawer than that, but I do them very, very quickly because I have to get it out of my head, and it's just a blueprint. And sometimes they stay in that form, and I film them that way. Other times we have a professional storyboard artist come in and draw those things so that some other people can understand what the hell is going on. And other times we take those storyboards, a lot of times we take those storyboards and we take them to my previs crew, which are the guys which turn those storyboards into animated storyboards for big action sequences, music montages, that sort of thing. So I know exactly how the camera needs to move, and I can figure it out and make any mistakes at the animated stage so I don't have to make mistakes at the actual filming stage. But of course, I make lots of mistakes either way. Emily, sorry, I'm reading your questions, trying to figure out of something I can answer. Will I ever consider directing a musical? I would love to direct a musical. I think about doing it all the time. In fact, I have the script. Somebody offered me a musical yesterday. I have the script sitting on my desk. It would be a completely unexpected move, and it's probably not something I'm going to do. But I'm going to read the script because it intrigues me. Do I watch Game of Thrones? Yes, I love it. Do I have any other pets besides my cat? Yes, we have my dog. If you go to Instagram, I posted a picture of my dog this morning. And we have another dog, which is Jen's dog, named Lola, who's a puggle.
Lola's a puggle. She's also an alien.
She looks like an alien.
She is an alien.
And she's an idiot. And she shit all over our bedroom last night.
Yes, it was horrible. It smelled disgusting.
It was.
And I couldn't get back to sleep afterwards.
It was the worst smelling shit of all time, and it kept me awake for. Even after you cleaned it up, the shit smell stayed in the bedroom.
Yeah, we're spending too much time on this though.
What, on that subject? I think people want to know more about Lola shitting in the bedroom while we're trying to sleep. What do I do to unwind after a long day? Sometimes I'll watch a TV show. I'll pet my cat. She's a good girl. How's my Dodge running? My Dodge Challenger Hellcat is running fantastically, using up gasoline like nobody's business. Would I consider directing a Western? Oh, I really need to direct a Western. Westerns are my favorite genre, probably. Oh, there's my cat giving me hugs. Hi, baby. So, yeah, I would love to direct a Western someday. What other projects do I have in the work? I have a TV thing I'm working on, which is pretty exciting. Most of my day, though, is taken up working on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and doing Facebook question and answer sessions. What are you doing, dummy? Oh, look who it is. Look who it is. The bedroom shitter. Anyway, okay, guys. Make Guardians 3 a Western. Well, I'm not sure I'm going to do Guardians 3, but all the Guardians movies are Westerns in a certain way, don't you think? I think so. They're very Western-like. Would I direct a silent film? No, I would never direct a silent film. Another novel. I don't know what that means. I've never done a novel before, so how could I do another one? Wolverine Hulk? That would be pretty cool. Have you seen Chris Pratt's Western? No, I'm hoping. I don't think I can. I think we're going to be there too late, Toronto, to see Chris's movie, Magnificent Seven. I'm very excited about it. But it's showing in Toronto the night before my film is showing, so I was going to try to make it, but I don't know if I'm going to be there in time to see it.
I don't know what time our flights are.
Yeah, I don't think we get in until like 9:30 or something.
At night?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, well, because it's a 3-hour flight. I mean, it's a 3-hour time difference.
I know, I was just trying to see if I could get to...
To
Yep, so I can watch some of them.
your TV
Yeah.
show. Last movie I enjoyed watching was Once Upon a Time in the West, which I saw last night. What else? Your adaptations and stories that you've used within the Guardians world have stayed very true to the source material. Do you read the comics? I mean, let me be completely honest. Do you feel as disappointed as I do about the recent DC movies? I don't. We don't even. I've never used a story from the comics, so I don't. I have never. I think I stay true to the spirit of the characters, but even that, I think that they've really. I mean, in certain ways, but Groot was very, very different in the comics from when I wrote him. His character, that innocence that Groot has, wasn't something that existed in the comics previously. It does now. So I think those characters, I stayed true to the characters in certain ways, and I changed a lot of things, and I think I filled out a lot of things, and then the comics changed to adapt, to bring that into their stories. So I'm certainly not some sort of fundamentalist about keeping the source material exactly the same, certainly because it's a different environment, it has different needs. When you have a 2-hour movie in which you're telling a singular story, and you need to give every character an arc in which they have something to do and something to learn, whether the character is good or whether that character is bad, that's very different needs than the type of needs you would have in a comic book series where you have forever for things to change. And I think it's also true, it's just me writing it. When you read comic books, no matter what character you're reading, what Kevin Smith brought to the character Daredevil, for instance, changed him completely when he wrote the comic series. And what Frank Miller brought to Daredevil changed him completely from what was before that. It's a character that's evolved and changed according to what writers have written those characters. That is a part of the medium. There are some things that I think are pretty intrinsic and stay true no matter what. I think, Batman, for instance, always has this hole at the center of his being, of him trying to avenge the justice of his parents' death that goes unquenched. He cannot fulfill that thing. I think that is being intrinsic to the character of Batman. Maybe somebody else doesn't. Obviously, You know, in the first Batman movie, they didn't think that was the case because they made the Joker his parents' murderer, which means that's not how it is. So I think there's certain things that I think are timeless and always true. But there are other things that have to change, and telling a movie, the story of a movie, is very, very different from telling the story in a comic book or even telling the story in a TV series. These characters need to change in different ways. So I don't necessarily think that I did stick all that close. I get a lot of people that are upset that certain things change, but it tends to be things that I don't understand why they're getting upset. A lot of people got upset about Yondu's fin not being big enough in the first movie. It doesn't seem like the most important thing. Yondu's a completely different character in the movie than he is in the comics. People, you know, it just depends. People got upset because Rocket didn't have a British accent when he was sometimes written and sometimes portrayed in video games and so forth as having a British accent. I just didn't see him that way. I bought the first ever Rocket Raccoon comic book when I was a kid, and I didn't see him as having a British accent. But of course, he's a lot different than what he was in that comic too. Thanks to you and Sean for helping 10th Life in St. Louis. That's a cat rescue organization. We adopted Groot and Rocket. Fantastic. That's great. I think, what genre of movies have you directed yet but really want to? I'd really love to direct a musical at some point. I'd really love to direct a Western. But really, I like directing big spectacle films with monsters. So that's what interests me most. Do I cook, and what's your favorite meal? I really only cook one thing, and that is cream of wheat.
And it is also probably his favorite meal.
It is my favorite meal. I love it, and I cook it a lot. And I have different types of, cream of wheat, cream of rice, rice and shine, cream of buckwheat, different mixtures with milk, not with water. Sometimes with some other things thrown in there. All different types of cream of wheat dishes. I'm pretty great at it, right?
You're like a connoisseur of cream of wheat.
Yeah, but
connoisseur of wheat.
do you think anybody has ever made better cream of wheat than me?
No, I think that you are the best.
I am best at
make
make cream of wheat. Okay, guys, I'm gonna get going. Thank you all for all your questions. I love all you guys. I hope you have a great time, and I will talk to you all very soon. Signing off from Guardians Verse. Bye, guys.